live.
Now it's live.
We're live. Hello, welcome. I am Vince Shirey, and this is my lovely girlfriend, Christina Shirey. And we're here with Tom and Katie Herman, and we have a lot to talk about. We have an upcoming marriage seminar that we're going to talk about those dates here briefly, but we really want to speak to entrepreneurs, or even if you're not an entrepreneur, but you're thinking about doing something else in marriage. We want to talk to Tom and Katie because they quit jobs and moved to a new city 5 hours away, and what effect that may have had on marriage with quitting a job and living with family and getting your feet wet in a new city and all of the above, and having kids and having young kids.
And having a baby in the midst of that.
Having a baby.
Grief. Lots of things happening, lots of transition between all of them, and how in the world did they manage that and still stay together and happy? You look happy, you're smiling. So yeah, so tell us a little bit of your story. Tell us all the little transition things and whatever you're feeling like in between. What things have worked, what things don't work, and what you've learned from the things that don't work in your relationship. And we know like every relationship is different, but we can always learn from each other. So you guys get the floor and go ahead and share with us.
It's funny when you say what works and what doesn't work. The brain is so motivated by pain. I'm like, oh, our list of what doesn't work is really long. Then let's think for a second of what does work. You start.
Yeah. Well, so we got married in 2010. So we've been married 11 years. We've got 4 boys. Oldest is 8. Youngest is 10 months. So our house is loud.
And louder than that.
And
we'll get to that.
Pretty loud. But yeah, our journey over the last 10, 11 years has really been one that started in the corporate world to just kind of being, I don't know if it'd be unsatisfied or unfulfilled, at least for me, as far as feeling like there's a bigger purpose, bigger assignment, where we just kept focusing on like, what is our mission here together on earth, and just as a married couple. And we would do like the normal church things, be part of a small group, all these things. It just kind of felt volunteer to teach 2, 3-year-olds at the church, you know, kind of do your thing. And
wasn't our thing.
It was kind of like, is this what we're supposed to be doing? Because this isn't really even that fun. And so in 2019, Katie became a life coach, and we started to see like the impact that she was having on clients. And we'd kind of made a family mission that what we were going to do is we were going to help people overcome fear and confusion to live rich, purposeful lives that were attractively different. Like this idea of being attractively different and living a life that's astonishing, that gives you an opportunity to share the gospel. And it was like, this is what she was doing. She was helping people overcome fear and confusion to live rich, purposeful lives that are attractively different. And in February 2020, we really felt the Spirit say, like, go full time.
Yeah.
And so we left. This was before COVID, right? We left the corporate world. We're going to go pursue. You can take care of that. Sorry, our oldest is yelling at us. Not yelling at us.
Please go upstairs. I'm not going to handle it right now.
Anyway, February 2020, we decided to step away from the corporate world and really pursue our assignment full time. And I was going to kind of do the back end of Katie's business as far as marketing, and she's going to serve the clients. And what it has turned to, we both became life coaches and are both serving. Oh,
you just skipped such a terrible part of the story. So gracious.
And
we'll come back to that.
But that's where we are right now. So we're learning what it's like to be full-time entrepreneurs and kind of getting rid of this corporate mindset that we were in, because we can get to it here in a little bit. But we kind of had this mentality. We're just going to transfer our corporate beliefs in the sense of man works 9 to 5. We do this, and Katie takes care of the kids.
Roles.
Yeah, and it created a lot of tension. But so since February 2020, we've been figuring out what it's like to be full-time entrepreneurs, build a business, and really step into the assignment that God has for us, and walk by faith when it's not always like clear cut like you would think it is.
I have a question.
You have a question. Go ahead.
Yeah. So something you said that stuck out to me is you knew that God and the Spirit was prompting you to make that move. Someone who's maybe not as far along in their spiritual journey, like how could you articulate better, or how could you give someone a sense of, because I had the same thing, like, yeah, you're hearing the Spirit, this has been confirmed, like what definitely cemented that in for you guys, like, yes, this is the right move, we're clearly hearing God, how do we know to quit the job or move to San Antonio or all those things? Like what really cemented that in for you? How did you know you were hearing from God for sure?
Yeah, I'll kind of like give a brief summary and then let Katie kind of fill in.
And I'm curious what his response is going to be.
A lot of the big decisions that we've made in our marriage when it came to like pursuing what we felt like God was leading us to, we really emphasized, are we unified in it? Like if we weren't unified, like if it was my idea or like this was where I was going and she was like, I don't really feel great about that, like the Spirit unifies us, like we're one, right? So like we made decisions, like even early in our marriage, I didn't have a job at the time. We actually turned down a job with benefits, all the things, because we felt like the Spirit was really leading us to stay in Fort Worth, where that job would have taken us out of the city. Like there was just clear conviction where between the two of us, we felt like had we not turned that job down, we would have been in disobedience. So it's like we've always been focused on being unified and kind of having this clarity of we're both on the same page, and it seems like where our desires, like this is aligning with our desires. And if we don't follow this, like we're in disobedience. And so when it came, we knew that this was going to happen someday, but that was our desire. That was our goal, to eventually be full-time entrepreneurs. And so at the beginning of 2020, we were just really praying through it independently. We were praying together. And there was just one night that I remember we were praying through it. And it was just like, the Spirit told me time is now. And it was the same thing for her, where it's like we were unified, the same type of thing of, we're very clear that this is where we need to go, and if we don't do it,
but I will say it was really clear at the time, but it didn't stay clear. And so I think that was a huge part of our journey last year, was that the decision that you make that felt right at the time, when it doesn't go how you thought, because here's the tricky part about helping people overcome fear and confusion to live rich, purposeful lives that are attractively different. You have to go through fear and confusion. Because you can't help anybody overcome it if you haven't. And so the deeper that we stepped into wanting to serve people in that way, the more fear and the more confusion we had to overcome. Because you can't serve people that you can't identify with. And so what was a right decision at the time really was tested and was challenged for months. And so there was a lot of, I don't know if it ever caused arguments for us, but I think there's this feeling of unity of like, oh, we both heard from the Spirit, it was the right thing to do. And part of the contention of like staying in that territory, right? Like you knocked down the enemies, you knocked down the wall, you moved into the land, you still have to contend to stay in the land. And there were so many times last year that I'm like, for some reason it was Lowe's or Costco. Like those were the two I thought had good employee discounts. And I'm like, if and when we finally give up on this, like by this Thursday, he can go get a job at Lowe's or Costco. And one of my coaches was like, you have to cut this off. Like this is the last time you're going to tell me about Lowe's and Costco. And so I'd share that just to say like, what was a unified decision in February to like quit his job and go pursue our dreams and live the life that we wanted to live. We had to contend for that.
Yeah. And a lot. I would even say to add to that, I think we kind of had this perception or perspective that like if God is leading us into this area, that it's just like naturally going to be amazing and it's great, it's going to be seamless. And what we failed to realize is like, no, we have to become those people. Like there was still becoming to do to like fill that assignment. When you think about the talents, and it's like in the parable, it's like they were given talents according to where they were, right? The 5-person talent got 5, but it was a 10-talent assignment. Like he had to become a 10-talent person to fulfill that assignment. And so I think when we ventured in this journey, it was kind of like, hey, God's in it. He's telling us to do it. Like, it's just going to be easy breezy. And like, we didn't really embrace the becoming part, where it took about 5 months to realize like, oh, like I've got some becoming to do. And there was a lot of, there was a lot of refining that happened to get there.
Yeah. It was ugly for a long time.
So in those ugly moments, how did you, as a couple, figure out how to get through those ugly moments? Like, did you have tools, or were you turning to Him for that? Like, how do you get through the ugly moments?
We both had, well, I'm trying to remember the timing of all of it. we both had outside tools as far as like working with our own coaches, but that didn't even come till a little bit later. I think a lot of it was just us going back to the Lord and him working on us separately. So the really beautiful part that Tom left out of the story, he's super gracious and chivalrous, is that when he quit his job and I said, I'm going to be a life coach and I'm going to sign all these clients and I'll support us and you just send out invoices. I mean, all the stuff that I don't want to do. I didn't mean like just that. I don't know about my contract and how to pay me, whatever. He can do all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, we'll be a great team. And then,
well, and we'd created a course.
Yeah.
That we were going to like market and sell. And like, we had put a lot of work into it.
Yeah. A lot of work. And in the 2 weeks that he submitted his 2 weeks notice, we found out we were pregnant with baby number 4. And something shifted in me. He came home and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my goodness, I have 3 kids and I'm pregnant. You need to support us. What are you doing? And he's like, well, I thought you were going to do this. And I'm like, you need to support us. And it was terrible. It was a total, I mean, I wasn't consciously choosing to bait and switch at the time, but that's really what it was. And really, really made Tom mad, which is understandable. And so in those first few months where he was like, what the crap? I wouldn't have left if I knew you were going to do this. And I'm like, well, you need to figure it out. Support us.
So tell me, do you still have that perspective? Because I know like in religion, and this isn't always, but a lot of times, like there's this belief system of like a man is supposed to be the one who's the provider. He should be the one who supports the family. Was some of that coming up for you, or was it that you were like fearful, or what was going on inside of you?
Yeah, that was huge.
That
you go take care of
I'll be right back.
We put our kids to bed and they didn't take it.
It's
interesting that you asked that question because I struggled with that for a ton of last year to the point where so we had a baby in October and I very specifically remember a coaching call 2 weeks before I was due and Tom wasn't making money and my income was the only one that was coming in and it wasn't enough to cover everything. So there was this feeling of I need to sign more clients, and this everything in me was so disappointed. Like this was not how this dream was supposed to go. Everything felt like it was so wrong. I was so resentful of all of it. I couldn't believe that Tom wasn't providing because there's this idea of like, even the psychology of like, oh, you know, I have to carry the load. I'm the breadwinner. Like there's such a heavy, burdensome thought with that of even like, well, does it have to be hard? Does it have to be like, I'm supporting this family? But that was the mantle that I was carrying. Like that was the hill that I was going to die on. And so, there was so much that I needed to go through of who really is our source. Is Tom the source for our family? Who am I trusting to be our source? How is he providing in ways? Like there was so much growth and I hated going through it, but being able to identify what are other ways that he provides for us besides financially. And really what I got to through a lot of coaching on my part, getting help with my coach, was recognizing it was an upgrade that the Lord was providing me. I chose to see it as an upgrade that he would trust me, that he could send his resources through me to provide for our family, because he's the one who provides for our family anyway. And so I was able to view it in the sense of like, oh, I'm trustworthy to carry this, that the Lord can use me to provide for us. But it took a lot. I mean, it was really difficult. There were times of like just kind of wanting to push Tom away because I felt like that he wasn't providing and that was all I ever wanted. And at the same time, I was losing my dad. My dad's health, he had a cancer diagnosis for about a year. His health really started declining like October, November, and he ended up dying at the end of the year. And so while the one man who provided for me my entire life is losing his life, I'm looking to the other man in my life to provide, and he's not. And so there was just this horrible, it's funny, I'm like getting chills just remembering all that I went through, but this questioning of like, I'm not secure. There's no one taking care of me. My dad is dying and my husband's not making any money. But all those things that we go through, all of those struggles in the line of work that what Tom and I do with coaching, like none of the pain is for naught, none of it's wasted. And so all of those things were just new upgrades that I received to being able to identify with a higher level of pain than I had ever walked through before, so that I could have that compassion to then serve the clients that I work with. And so we've just found, and sorry, he left, he'll be back in a second, but yeah, all the struggles that we went through last year, we have turned back around. And it's so cool how the Lord brings us clients. Like the people that he's brought us to now serve are ones asking the exact same questions that we were asking 6 months ago, 12 months ago. And so it's so cool where it's like, I wouldn't be able to serve them at the same level if I hadn't gone through that first. So overcoming fear and confusion to live rich, purposeful lives, to help other people do that. We have had to do that. And I know that we'll continue to with every new level that you go to. There's a, you know, there's more that comes out that you need to overcome or get to overcome.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a question. So a lot of women struggle with men being the provider of their home. A lot of them are like high achieving women who do bear a heavy load, who do carry a lot of the financial responsibility. I can think of several off the top of my head right now who do have this expectation of the man providing, but also they're very high achieving women at the same time. So how do you balance that? How did you work through that inside of your heart? And what advice would you give women who are in that place of like, I work so hard, I'm providing for our family, I'm also taking care of the children, I've got a lot of responsibility, and I feel like he's not really doing his best or carrying his weight or whatever that might be. What would you say to them?
Yeah. So a huge part of what I walked through last year was just thinking of the word resource, right? Like we always are looking at our resources, our time, our money, and our energy, right? Are our highest, our most valuable resources. And so we're really focused on those. Like, how am I managing my time? You know, I need to do better at time management. How am I managing my money, or how am I managing my energy, whether I'm getting up and getting in a workout so I have higher energy, you know, higher focus throughout the day. And so we're so focused on our resources, and you will find that those become limited. At the best of your capacity to manage them all, the resources get tight, and there's not enough of one of those to go around. And so shifting my mind to how do I create more resources, of how do I, right? There's this pressure, so much this, I was holding this thought, like, it's up to me, which is such a heavy load to bear. It's up to me that I have to come up with how to either better manage the limited resources that I have or somehow create more. And it's really, really difficult to create anything, either a business or even to create a positive environment in your home, to create peaceful conversations with your kids, whatever it is that you're creating. It's really, really difficult to create when you're working out of this lack, like, woe is me, it's up to me, like super heavy pressure mindset. And so the shift that was so powerful for me was recognizing that God is my source. If we think of the, you know, the little the prefix re, it means to do again. It's doing again from the source. So resource, he is the source from whom all the resources flow. And so learning to go to him when I felt like I don't have enough resources here. I'm having a baby. We're tight on money. I wish that more resources were coming in from Tom's, and all this stuff of like, it's up to me, is really a false thought from, that's my perspective, is it's not up to me. There's a question of like, okay, how do I tap in then to my source with a capital S to receive more resources, to receive wisdom? How do I better utilize? How do I become a better steward of the resources that you've given me? And ask for more. We have not because we ask not. So how do I ask him? Will you expand my time? Will you expand my energy? Will you expand my money? And so really shifting from that thought of it's up to me, I have to do this. If I don't, who will? You know, that all of the resources are mine to manage, and recognize these are just a recycling, a gift from my source. And so really learning to go to the source myself to get that wisdom of how he wants me to occupy the territory that I have and the responsibilities that I have.
And can I add something to that?
Please.
I think like what I've learned, and even this was part of my story last year going through this, is we get in this mindset of just doing better. We focus on what we need to do, right? And our beliefs inform our behaviors. And so when you think about like your beliefs, like who do you need to become? What do you need to believe to actually create whatever it is you're trying to create? So I got in this cycle where I had studied a ton about online marketing and business, and I felt confident that I knew enough. And it was just this cycle of I need to do better. I need to do better. I need to do better. And I never changed my beliefs about what I could do in business, who I was as a provider, like the value that I had. And so that was going to be futile. And I was going to be stuck on this carousel of just trying to do better without actually becoming more. And so I alluded to that earlier, like you have to change your beliefs. You have to become the person. And so when there's this tension, and when Katie was expressing this tension of doing these things, it's like we haven't become that person who can do that thing. And so that's our opportunity to become more. But the struggle with it is it requires like leaning into that limited ability, right? We feel limited. So we want to like stay comfortable and doing what we know how to do, but we're never going to grow because we've already become that person. And so for us, we had to lean in, like, what does it look like to become more? What does it look like to become the people who are full-time entrepreneurs and creating this life, as opposed to what do I need to do better? I need to manage my time better. I need to do this. It's like I was trying all these different things to provide. And it's like the thing that switched it, Katie finally said, and maybe she said this while I was gone, but she was like, you need to stop what you're doing. Just stop and fix your mind. Like, go get a coach. And I hired a coach, and 6 months later, we had a business idea. We partnered with some friends, and we had a 6-figure launch. It like totally changed who I was in the business world because I changed my belief systems. I worked out the junk, and it's like I already knew what to do. Like nothing changed in the activities that we did. Like there wasn't some new magic formula. It's just I became the person who could do it.
So talk to me a little bit more about this becoming. For people who are like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, how do I become? Like, all I know is doing. What is this becoming? How do I change my beliefs? None of this makes any sense. Can you give like a practical way for somebody who's watching right now and they're like, I'm doing all the things, but there must be some sort of belief that's lingering here. So who do I have to become? How do I make that shift from doing to becoming? And what are the practical steps to take?
Can I say something?
Yeah, you can go ahead and start.
I mean, I want to give a plug for what you guys are doing. I'm not even sure the full details of what you guys are releasing with your marriage course, but we couldn't have done it on our own. So this process of like, well, who do I need to become does feel very confusing. We're stuck in our own head. We can't see outside of our own thoughts. We don't have like the outside perspective, right? And so one of the things that was so valuable to us was that we both were outsourced to working on ourselves to figure out who we needed to become, but we couldn't have done, and that strengthened our marriage because neither of us were expecting the other person to like fix us. We both took that independent responsibility of like, you fix your head, I'll fix mine. And I'm not, and anything that wasn't working between the two of us, we really took personal responsibility for. Of like, I mean, there were certain times that I had to go out in the car to have a coaching session because I was so angry, hot tears, mad at Tom. I didn't even want to be in the same house. I didn't want to talk about him. I was like, this is so bad. But it's like, this is on me. The thought that I held was, this is an issue that I have. So how do I need to change? And it has to be with the help of someone else who can speak to you in love, give you that, what to someone else would be considered harsh feedback at times, but give you the truth when you're when you're truly asking for the truth. So that process for us of becoming more, we couldn't have done it on our own without the help of somebody else on the outside, looking for the patterns, listening for our own stories that we're believing in our head that are not in alignment with what God's word says is true. But when that's the story you hear all day long, it becomes true in your head. And so it absolutely requires somebody else to pick up on that you know and trust, someone who's walking with the Lord, who's in tune with the Holy Spirit. But that was absolutely essential to us becoming the people we needed to be to make the decisions for our family, to keep our marriage a priority, to do all the things that we've done, was getting that outside help and not having it be us trying to work with each other, because there's too much emotion here. When you're in pain and when you're confused and when everything's falling apart, there's there's too much here to sort anything out clearly. It needs to be from someone who's not emotionally involved.
And you said so much there, Katie. I just have to highlight one thing. And I love the fact that you said you were so mad at Tom. You had to get out of the car. You're crying and all that stuff. But you didn't put the expectation on Tom to fix you. Like, you took personal responsibility to get your coach to take care of yourself. And I think, I don't know how many, but like sometimes people like, oh, it's Tom's job to make me happy, period. And it's not. Like, you took responsibility for you. And I just really want to highlight that again, because you do that so well too. Like, you are good about, you know, taking care of yourself and knowing that I'm going to screw up, but like just figuring it out. So I just had to highlight that again.
Yeah. A key phrase I say all the time is like, I'm upset right now and I realize it's my issue. So I'm going to walk away.
Yeah. And there's
my own fault.
Yeah. And there's such a gift when you have the freedom to be mad, but to realize you're not waiting on the other person to fix you. And so even now, like, we'll still get upset, or I'll come slinging at Tom and he's like, he knows it has nothing to do with him. So he doesn't, it's even changed. We got in this argument in a parking lot a couple weeks ago. I'm sure you would side with me if I told you how he was driving. But I'm being silly. But I got so, I was fired up. I'm like about to get out of the car. I thought this is so ridiculous. And he was like, this has nothing to do with, he knew it had nothing to do with him. It was 100% with me. And so he just stayed totally calm to the point where we're even laughing about it. I'm still fuming mad, but we're laughing at how ridiculous it is. And so it's completely changed our communication now when we get in arguments, where it's like, yeah, I'm absolutely pissed and I understand this is my problem and I'll get help about it. But now we don't create like worse problems out of it, because then the other person gets defensive and offended when you're like, yep, it's your crap and I'll just let you sit in it. Like, keep throwing poop at me. You can. It changes.
Your whole relationship. It changes everything, especially like for me. Like, I have a thing about disappointing people. I hate it. It hurts me. And then I realized, oh, wait, like, that's just my story, is like, I feel like I'm disappointing somebody, but I can never really disappoint somebody unless they are choosing to be disappointed, right? So, like, when he's disappointed, I used to take it so badly. Like, I would be so upset. I would just go through this whole drama thing. Depression would kick in. Like, it was horrible. It was awful because I was choosing to take on his disappointment as if I was responsible in some way for him and his emotions. And I mean, he's been like the most amazing guy ever. I'm usually the one who's like the dramatic emotion. So he's dealt with that in such a great way and such a great manner. But like, I had to learn that when he's talking to me, he's just talking to me. Like, I get to choose what the meaning is that I'm making it mean. It has nothing to do with what he's saying. It's feedback. I can listen, I can hear, but like, it doesn't have to become this major ordeal where I end up wanting to jump off a bridge at the end of the night because he was disappointed in something that I said or something I did, which, I mean, it was quite frequently at the beginning of our relationship. I was just a crazy emotional mess and I couldn't handle anything. So that is like one of the biggest lessons that I could learn, is exactly what you just said, like responsibility for what I hear, how I take things, and for my part in the conflict also. So all of it is my responsibility. All of it is his responsibility also. And we get to decide the meaning that we're making all the things. Like, this is worth $1 bazillion right here, you guys. You should just like start getting your credit cards out and start swiping up. But you get it for free, right? Because you're here with amazing coaches, with Tom and Katie, who bring this stuff out and are teaching you and sharing all of this stuff. And it literally, this right here will change your entire life if you apply it, if you do what it takes, if you're willing to look at yourself, if you're willing to listen. Like, some of us are just like, well, he needs to hear this. I was that person too. Well, Vince needs to hear this. Vince needs to be the one to apply it. No, you need to be the one to apply it. So listen, hear what's being taught, because this is truly like a godsend that will literally transform your entire relationship just from what they're talking about right now.
So we'll circle back around to the be, have, do, or be, do, have.
Yeah. No, I was going to ask if I could like just share an analogy on that, but it would hopefully be beneficial. So one thing that I teach a lot with my clients or help them see is like the first command that God gave to mankind is said to be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. And
have dominion.
And have dominion. And so the be, do, have, that's what Vince is talking about. Be fruitful. And then the verbs for multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it would be a do. This is what you go do, right? And then have dominion. So there's this sequence that we talked about. Like when you put the doing in front of the being, that's where you get stuck in that that carousel of frustration that you can't ever get out of until you become more. We have to, God's desire is for us to become more. And
that's Genesis 1:28.
1:28. And so it's like, what's fascinating to me as I've been studying this and like being, like the potential of a seed is like an orchard, like an apple seed has potential for an apple orchard. Or I use an acorn and oak tree a lot as this analogy and have the story with it. Like in one seed, the potential is an orchard. Like that's being fruitful, that's multiplying, that's filling the earth, right? And there's this story that I read that I really liked, that like, let's just say there's this village of acorns and they're at the base of this oak tree and they're all doing their best to be the best acorn they can be. They shine their acorn shells. They do all they can. And then one day this acorn comes and points to this huge oak tree and is like, this is what we can become. This is our essence. This is who we're supposed to be. Yeah. And they all laugh. It's like, no, we're acorns. We're acorns. We're not trees.
Yeah.
And yet the only way to be fruitful is for that seed to go in the ground, face the heat, face the tension, and actually sprout. And that's when it can actually multiply and fill the earth, is when it becomes that oak tree. And so there's this analogy that in that when we're stuck in that acorn stage, that's like where we're like protecting ourselves with our personality, right? We're guarded, we respond out of hurt, and we're unwilling to actually step into those times where we have to use our limited abilities to take the heat and actually become more, take responsibility to like sprout and grow. And so I just love that analogy of like, we're operating as acorns when our essence is to be this beautiful oak tree that can be fruitful. Yeah. And what's so cool about that command is like, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. That word subdue actually means to like step on your enemy's neck. So there's going to be opposition that's going to come against you when you're being fruitful.
Yeah.
And so part of that command is when that opposition comes, when you're being fruitful, when you're multiplying, when you're filling the earth, you have to step on the adversary's neck. You have to like take dominion, like tread underfoot. And like, as I've been studying this, like the Spirit was showing me that the word shalom, which means peace on all sides, like wholeness, like this is his desire for us, right? To have peace in your marriage, to have wholeness, completeness in your marriage. When you look at the Hebrew letters, there are actually pictures there. And when you look at the pictures, like what the meanings of the pictures are, it means to destroy the authority connected with chaos and confusion. That's the word shalom. And so I was connecting the dots. Is like, when I'm fruitful, the enemy, the adversary, is going to come against me to create chaos and confusion.
Yeah.
And I need to subdue it. I need to step on his neck. And when I do, I create peace. I create the shalom, the wholeness on all sides. And so it's like, it's all right there, where it's like, instead of focusing on what I need to do better, asking the question, who do I need to become?
Yep.
I have this tension. I'm not getting laundry done. I'm not getting the school done. I'm doing all these things. Like, there are these opportunities that are showing you tension in who you haven't become. And you can start taking a look at, okay, what's your belief system? So if, like, what I'll have my clients do is be like, okay, what's your perfect 10 day? What's your perfect 10 marriage, whatever. They outline it, they have a vision for it, and then ask them, okay, well, why is that a problem? Why can't you get there?
Yeah.
And they start saying things like, well, XYZ, this, and they're starting to reveal their belief system. I don't have enough time. He doesn't see things my way. He doesn't let me buy these things, whatever. Like, he doesn't, like, all these are beliefs that need to be changed in order for you to actually get that transformation and operate in that vision that you have. Yeah. Because anything is possible. And so to Christina's question about, like, how do you become, you need to identify what are those limiting beliefs? What are those beliefs of, well, I'm so exhausted at the end of the day that I can't have physical intimacy with my spouse. Or they don't appreciate me, so I get more, like, these are all beliefs, right? These are all limiting beliefs that you could focus on doing better, but you actually have to become the person who can step into it. And when you do, that's when you actually be fruitful. When you're just operating in the doing and being more efficient and being more productive, it's like shining that acorn shell.
Yep. Or wearing the medal that you're a victim and it's not possible to be productive. And
yeah, victim story.
Yeah, so, I think a lot of us like to be in that victim state, though. Like, we love to be right about our stories. We love to be right about, you know, why he's wrong, or why I can't have sex, or why I can't have the house clean, or why I can't, like, what do you do with somebody who is that victim, who is, like, fighting so hard to be right about their story? Yeah. Like, what can we do today? Like, somebody who is stuck in this place of, you know, but you don't understand my problem. You don't understand I'm the only one who has this thing. And we all feel that way. This isn't like me pointing a finger at anybody specific, right? Like, we all go through it. We all feel isolated. We all feel like our story is different than anybody else's story. So this isn't me saying, like, you're a victim, you need to get out of it, shame on you. This isn't a shame thing. This is like, we all feel it, and Tom and Katie are going to help us figure out how to get out of this victim story.
Yeah, so it's really fascinating just how the brain works, because I work especially with women, and a lot of women have stories that they hate, right? They come as like, let me tell you about my life. Let me tell you how I'm not supported. Yeah. Let me tell you how I do it all. Let me, you know, all the things. And they're kind of like wearing this like beautiful coat of like how of their, you know, why they should get a pat on the back or whatever. And, but they hate it. They're miserable. They're like, oh, you know, and I just can't lose the weight. I'm just always so tired and all this kind of stuff. And so really just helping people see from such a lens of compassion and grace, it's like, I try to help them see like how that story is serving them. And then they like, no, it's not. I hate it. I'm like, right. But it is validating for you, because if you exhaust yourself so much every day, that makes you feel like you have value, or, you know, whatever it is. And so really just helping people see from an unbiased perspective, like, let's look at this story. Let's honor that this is the best that you know how to do. But we also need to go down the road. If it doesn't change, if you stay the victim in this story for the next 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, what's going to happen to your life? What's going to happen to your marriage? What's going to happen to your health? What's going to happen to your finances? And so we paint that picture of, if this doesn't change, and if you stay the victim, this is what your life is going to look like. And then when people realize, like, that's not what I want, because no one ever signs up for that, right? The frog doesn't jump into the pot of boiling water, but they will stay in the pot as it slowly heats up. Yeah. And so just being so kind and compassionate with someone and saying, I know exactly, like, it makes total sense that this feels the safest to you, because taking that story off and no longer being the exhausted mom, no longer being the one who's unsupported, no longer carrying that mantle can feel terrifying, because if that's my identity, and if I'm not this person that feels so sorry for myself and resents that I'm unsupported, I don't know who I'll be. And so to say, like, yeah, that's okay.
Or if I'll get love.
Right. Because a lot of it is like, that's the only way that they get love and that they feel valued. And so if they take that off, then it's very, very scary. And so just really honoring how that happens in our brain and recognizing this is serving you. And I'll work with clients on certain things where they say, no, I really want to change this. And as we go through, I say, you're not ready to, and that's okay. And sometimes that's just enough in a gracious way. Sometimes that's just enough for them to be like, no, don't tell me I'm not ready. I am ready. I'm ready now. It's like, okay. But it's just kind of giving them permission to not change because they're expecting someone to like slap them on the wrist and say, you need to start doing your couch to 5K because you're overweight. You need to do all this stuff. Yeah. And when I say, okay, like that's fine. We don't have to work on that. We can stay absolutely here. And they're like, well, I don't want to stay here.
Yep.
Okay.
I had that happen with I hired a girl for health and fitness stuff, and she's like, I just really don't think this program is for you. It's really intense. I don't really think that you could do it. I'm like, sign me up. Yes, I can.
Don't question me. Yeah. So helping people realize like that what they believe about themselves is one perspective, and that there are other perspectives. And really, we just kind of take them down the journey of, okay, if this doesn't change, if this is the perspective that you choose, like, let's zoom ahead down the road and make sure you still want to choose this and the outcome that it's going to give you. And if they're like, oh my gosh, no, there's no way I could be living my 10 life if this doesn't change, can be just enough for them to say, okay, I don't know how to do it by myself, but I can trust you. When people are coming to you guys for their, for your marriage course and saying, we don't know how to do this. I've been mad at him for so many years, and I don't know what it's going to look like to stop being mad. But I can tell you, like, I'm speaking to the person who's deciding whether or not to work with you guys. Like, you might not know what it looks like to stop being so angry. But if you zoom ahead 5 years, 10 years and say, this isn't the life that I want, this isn't the happily ever after that I decided, I'm not willing to live with the results. Sometimes all it is just enough trust of partnering with the right person who you can trust, who will help you find the new story. You don't have to do it by yourself. It can be very, very scary. So partnering with someone who says, okay, I know you don't want the results of if we stay the same. And so we're going to work hand in hand together, that they will work with you, trusting you guys, that they can create a new story that is going to serve them.
And one thing I would add to that is that we talked about taking 100% responsibility, and that sounds easy. And a lot of people think that they're doing that, when in actuality, they're not. And it can be a challenging thing. And I'll share a personal story of where I kind of had this realization, is that like the beliefs that we hold are creating the results in our life. It's easy to like pinpoint and say someone else is doing this and I'm frustrated and they need to change. So like the story for me, in our business, it's like I'm relatively new to being an entrepreneur, and it's like there's some, doubts that I have, or feel like, man, am I even doing this right? And there are two companies I was working for that just weren't providing a high level of service. Like I had to following up with them, and like get an appointment. It's like, what in the world is happening? And I was so frustrated with them. And then I finally asked myself the question, what am I believing that's creating this result? As I asked that question, I started to realize, oh, well, I think that they don't value my business because I believe my business is small and that I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't gone anywhere else to get service because this place was recommended to me and by entrepreneurs who knew what they were doing. So if I go somewhere else, I'm going to screw this up. So I've let it go on, right? And so I started to see, oh, I have these beliefs that I don't even value my business. I think if I go somewhere else, I'll screw it up. I don't want to talk to them because I feel like maybe I'm not equipped. So whenever they would call me, I would send it to voicemail and be like, oh, I'll call them back. So I started to see, oh, I was frustrated with them, but it's like, no, these beliefs that I had about my business and myself actually created this reality.
Yeah.
So if I want to change it, either leave, go somewhere else that's going to provide better service, answer the phone when they call me, start doing all these things. But I had this story that's like, gosh, they're delivering terrible service. And when I asked the question, no, what am I believing? It's actually creating this reality. And I started to see like, no, I don't value my business. I think I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared to talk to them.
Yeah.
And what's amazing, I had this realization. I sent them an email. They called me within like 30 minutes. And my brain went right back into this mode where it's like, I'll call them later. I almost sent it to voicemail. And it's like, no, like the person I'm becoming answers these calls.
Yeah.
The person I'm becoming answers these calls. And lo and behold, I got stuff done. And it was like taking 100% responsibility is asking the question, what am I believing that's actually creating this result? And when you're in this victim mentality, it's this person needs to change. I'm doing the best that I can. I'm doing all this. And it really, like, what are you believing that's creating this result?
And how is it serving you? Because it's really, really common in marriage. Like, I work with a lot of moms that believe that their husbands don't support them. Like when it comes with housework and the kids.
I'm so glad you went there. That was my story.
Well, that's a huge one. Yeah. And they say no, like, but he doesn't support me. And when we break it down, the belief leads first. And so they will actually speak words or do actions, not consciously. It's just a result of their belief. If I believe he doesn't support me, like I worked with a client who she couldn't see it. She would just tell me, well, this is what happened. We got in a fight. She would relay the story. She couldn't see that she exactly set him up to not support her so that she would prove that belief to be true. Yeah. And so really you can't see it when it's on yourself. Like it was so clear that he doesn't support me. And so when we would work together and break it down, it's like, okay, but the belief led first, and that created the outcome that you put him in, that there was no way that he could support you, because then that would prove yourself to be wrong. And we always want to prove ourselves to be right. Yeah. And so helping people just get so gracious and compassionate. It's never a finger in the face of like, well, you just need to stop. You know, it's like, well, how is that serving you? Like, when was the first time that you felt unsupported? Or, I mean, it, you know, so many different things that go back. So we're never a nasty spouse on purpose. Like the things that we do to each other, no one rarely wakes up and says like, I'm just going to manipulate him to make sure that he doesn't support me today so that I can just resent him further. Right. Like no one consciously thinks that, but to recognize, no, we totally unconsciously, if we believe these things, we will do and say things to make sure that we're proven right at the end of the day.
Yeah, that was totally my story. You never support me. You never let me do anything. Oh, poor me all the time. It was poor me until I was like, wait a second. Like, no, I'm sabotaging myself. Yeah. I don't believe in myself. I don't trust myself to follow through. So I give him reasons to not trust me because I don't follow through. I don't do what I say I'm going to do. And so how could he support me? Or, you know, all of these things. And so, and there was, you know, it does go both ways, because there were reasons why he shouldn't support me, but he had beliefs also to deal with. And so we create this perfect storm of reasons why we're creating this conflict. And it's easy to blame the other person. It's so easy to say he's not supporting me. Well, with the responsibility that Tom and you are talking about, is like, wait, where is my responsibility in here? Where is my belief? Where is the first time that I felt unsupported? And how do I get to make a shift?
Yeah.
That create a different story forward. So.
That's awesome. Well, if somebody wants to, I don't want to take much more of your time unless you have more that you'd like to say. We'll ask maybe one more question. But if someone wants to get a hold of Tom and Katie, how are they going to do that?
Yeah, they've been, we're both, I guess.
Tom's way more professional than me. He has a website. I'm like, just find me on Facebook or Instagram.
You go to attractivelydifferent.com, and it's mainly going to be me there, but I'm happy to connect you with Katie if that's the easiest. You can follow us, connect with, I mean, I'm mainly doing more things on Instagram. It's Tom Herman Coach. And Katie's more on Facebook. Is there a place for?
Yeah, just search my name on Facebook.
I mean, pretty
easy. I'll link it below in the notes if you're watching this and want to connect with these two. I'll link the notes below. But this has been so valuable for the watchers, for us. Our webinar is coming up on Thursday, September 2nd, a week from this Thursday. It was originally scheduled for August 26th, but in my haste to do some things fast and do things very unstrategically, because we're moving to Idaho. We are here now. We've moved to Idaho. It's still daylight. If you're watching from the East Coast, it's dark there now because it's 10 o'clock. But it's okay. We're going to do it on September the 2nd. I had to honor my wife in that, and we've had discussions on this for probably over a week, and that's just part of our marriage. Is just not only are we married, but we're also business partners. So we have that double whammy as well, where we're working on business together. And actually people told us not to do that, but we're doing it anyway because
good for you.
So we're excited to help marriages. We're going to be teaching on the 3 secrets to happiness in your marriage and becoming happy in marriage without walking on eggshells, because so many times we think that it's our spouse's job to make us happy, but whose job is it to make us happy in marriage? Is it mine? Is it hers? Is it theirs? Is it yours? And we're going to discuss that here in our upcoming webinar. So you guys are amazing. Tom, that's an amazing shirt. Congratulations on dunking your basketball today. You told me that. And you hadn't done that for how long? For a few years, right?
I don't know, maybe 2 years. Yeah.
And now you're dunking it with both hands. So that's pretty cool. I can't dunk basketball. I'm jealous.
Nice. You guys have been amazing. Yeah. You literally gave everybody gold.
Yeah, seriously.
And we're so thankful that you were able to join us. You guys are so full of wisdom and love and kindness and generosity. And you are the kind of people that we absolutely are so honored to have.
Mm.
In our lives, on our team. We support you 100%. And so hey, if you guys are looking for a coach, check them out, see how they feel. They're awesome. Yep. We love them. I would totally use them as a coach.
We attend the same church, but it's online. Mm-hmm. They live in Texas. We live in Idaho, and we go to the same church. How do we do that?
It's the best. Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you for having us. This is a treat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Love you guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.